All right, we are recording. Thank you all so much for joining us. So good to see your lovely faces. And I'm sorry about last week with the holiday and everybody doing family day. I didn't want to take that time away, and then life gets crazy. So if any child walks in, just pretend you don't see them or hear them. Daddy's gone until like 6:30. All right, so most of you already know who I am, but I am Melissa Hogg, not Natanya Downs. And I have been coaching for 3.5 years now. I started in January of 2015. I kind of just jumped in as a coach and a challenger all on the same day. Jackie had invited me like 12 times. She even kind of sneakily invited me to Super Saturday and didn't tell me it was a Beachbody event. I went and was like, this is not just a free workout. Like, you tricked me. And so I still said no to her for another 5 or 6 months. And so my story is a little bit different. Obviously, everybody's story is different. And some of us joined as challengers first. But as soon as I jumped in, I wanted to earn a little bit of extra money. I wanted to quit one of my side jobs. I was teaching high school math. I taught online, and then I also tutored on the side for our Arizona teacher assessment for the math. And so I was tired of doing all of these extras. And if you don't know, Arizona is like number 48 in teacher pay. And so we had been stuck. I'd been teaching for 8 years and seen zero income growth, and actually my income had gone down. And so I needed to do something. And so I started my first challenge group, and I hit SC10 in my first 2 weeks, and I was all excited because I was like, holy cow, like I can earn kind of a good money. And even though it was just challenge packs, I was really excited. And so I was teaching full time and had 2 little boys at the time. My husband was a high school football coach. So you can imagine I get all the excuses about time. And so I know life is busy, and I built my business to replace my salary on that busy schedule. And so I'm just going to kind of explain that. And I know a lot of you have come in and see me as home. And you're like, well, you didn't have to juggle like I did. I did not get to come home full time until after I had been doing this for a year. And so I don't want you to think that I wasn't always a stay-at-home mom. I was working full time. And I had 2 little boys, and then I was pregnant for my first year. And so I'm going to give you some things that I did, and treating your business like a business is huge. And I've had a lot of conversations with so many coaches in the past couple of weeks, and people getting frustrated, or people not seeing the income that they think they deserve or think that they should have already gotten. And so these were kind of some gut checks that I've had to do over the years. And these are some kind of things that I have to make sure and have implemented, so that way I can continually see growth. Now, I will admit I have not seen the growth that I wanted, but I also know that I have not been able to put in the time that I originally thought. And so I thought that when my second went to school, it was going to be me and Zane, and I was going to have all this time because I had 1 kid at home, and it was going to be awesome. And he was going to nap for 3 hours a day, and I was going to work. And then God decided to give us another baby and say, here, now you get to do all of these things with a newborn and an 11-month-old. And so life threw a wrench in my plan because I had big plans. And he was completely worth the wrench. But I had to kind of change my schedule. I had to make those power pockets because obviously now I had 4 children, and it's completely different than 3. I will tell you that. So the thing that has helped me over these years is making a schedule. That is the first thing that I will say over and over and over again, is you have to have a schedule. And if you're not in our September Step Up group, I would highly suggest getting in there. I think just having that accountability for the schedule has really helped. But making a daily schedule, literally from the minute you wake up until the minute you close your eyes, and you are scheduling everything. You're scheduling time with your family. You're scheduling dinner time and lunchtime and time with your husband and your kids. And just when you schedule that time, there's a lot of freedom in that. Because when you are on family time, you're focused on them. And when you are on work time, you know it's time to focus on work. And you don't feel guilty because you're taking that time away from your kids, or you're taking that time away from your family, because you have that time built into your schedule and you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to try to be multitasking. I know in the beginning, I really tried to work all the time, and I thought that I had to respond to somebody immediately, and that I had to, anytime I had a free moment, I needed to be working, because it's difficult when you're trying to juggle work and family and kids and this business. It is, but you really need to have the schedule. And it can't just be what you want in this schedule. You really have to make it where it is you and your spouse, so your significant other, have to be on this schedule. You can't just make it and expect them to be on it and okay with it. And that's what I knew what I needed to do in order to build this business, but my husband didn't know that. He didn't know the time I needed to put in. He didn't know that it was going to take time and that the income would come slowly until I started building my team. And so having that communication with your spouse and deciding together what schedule works for you guys is super important, because if they're not on board, it's going to make life super challenging. Because my husband was like, I feel like all you're doing is working, you're on your phone. And I realized that all my free time ended up being towards that. And so it really helped when we sat down, and we would sit down and I'd say, okay, on Saturdays, I need 3 hours. And so if he wanted me done and with family by 9 a.m., I knew I had to get up at 6 in order to get those 3 hours in. And so I've always been an early morning person for working out on the weekends, working on the weekends, because I didn't want to take away from that family time. If that's not you, that's fine. But making sure that the schedule works for you and everybody in your family is super important. And so in my schedule, I know my lists. I list out what I need to do. And now I'm getting a lot of like, well, the daily vitals I can't do them all every single day. And I want to tell you that I average mine out throughout. And so if I need to do 10 invites a day, I might only be inviting 3 days a week. But if I need 60 invites, that means I need to do 20 invites on my invite days. Because sometimes it's easier for me to sit and crack out 20 or 30 invites than to spread myself thin. On Mondays, my longer work days, I get to drop my boys off at my mom's, and I get to focus for 4 hours uninterrupted. And so I spend probably 2 hours of that time literally planning out at least one of my Mondays a month. 2 hours of my time is planning out posts for my groups. Like today, I made 28 posts, scheduled them in for my next 8 weeks. So I have at least 4 weeks of posts already done in that group, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. But I have that time scheduled and allotted. I also spent an hour today, and I sent out 35 invites, and 25 of them were coaches, 10 of them were groups, and it just depends on what's going on. Those 10 people had commented or something on a post for a transformation, and so that's why they kind of got stuck in. But right now I'm focusing on invites for those people. But I have my lists of to-dos. And so on my typical follow-ups are like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And I'd like to do it every other day. And so that's why it's that way. But figuring out what works for you, obviously personal development needs to be daily either way. Like that's not a non-negotiable. You can't be like, I'm going to do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday and hope that on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, I feel good. Like you still need that time for yourself. You still need to spend that time. But really having a list of your to-dos, planning out your weeks, planning out your days is huge, and knowing. And so if you are like me, I get distracted easily. So I have to have a timer. And that's why I say, I know I spent 2 hours. I know I spent an hour. And that has really helped me stay focused, especially when I know I only have 15 minutes to do something. I can go ahead and spend those 15 minutes. But I track my time. I think that in this business, we feel like we're spending a lot of time. We feel like we're putting it in, but in reality, we may not be. And so I started tracking my time. I literally put how many hours or minutes I worked, and then I go back to it. It's on my phone. And that way I can look and say, did I put the time in this week? And Jamie and I were having this conversation the other day, and it was like, we walk into this business and say after 6 months, I should be making $50,000 or $100,000 for my yearly thing. And if you walked into any business and said, hey, I want to work 7 hours a week and I want to make $100,000 a year, they'd be like, you are crazy. That is not happening. And so we need to treat this business like a business and understand that if you're putting an hour a day, your business will grow, but it's not going to grow to that 6-figure business in a year. It's going to take time. And so having that in your head, and that's why I like tracking my time, because I can figure out if I put the time in or if I didn't. And so when I get frustrated by my paycheck, you know what? I only put in X amount of hours, so I should expect that. And it's going to be like, if you're in it for the long haul, and I hope you all are, it is completely worth it. And I sometimes, whenever I get frustrated with my income and I go and tell my husband and he says, you know what, our goal is to bring you home. Are you home with our children? I say, yes. Are you covering your income that you were making while you were teaching? And I'm like, yes. He goes, well, right now at that point in our life, this is what our family goals were, and you are meeting them. So don't get hard on yourself. And so knowing your goals and your why is huge. And so that's the other thing I want to make sure is know your why. Because when you're stressed out or you're not hitting that goal that you thought you should have, your why is going to be what keeps you going. Because I know for myself that if I don't show up every single day, my screen is totally weird now in that color. If I don't show up every single day, I have to go back to work. I have to go back to teaching. And that is not okay with me. Like, I loved teaching. I loved my kids. I really did. But I want to be home with my kids, and I want to be there for all of their things. And so when I sit there and think, I look at the alarm clock and I'm like, ugh, I just want to go back to bed. I have to remind myself you have 2 choices. You can hit snooze and go back to bed, or you're going to be getting up anyways at 5 a.m. and going to work for somebody else. And so my why keeps me going. I don't ever want my kid to be sitting in the cafeteria crying because I'm not there on Thanksgiving. And that happened to my oldest, and that's never going to happen to the other 3. They're never going to be sitting in that cafeteria crying because I'm not there on Thanksgiving lunch. And so you need to have that so that you're digging deep. Like, if it's just you want to help people, helping people is not going to keep you going. It'll keep you coming every now and again and being a hobby coach. And that's great, because that's what's amazing with this business is you can be a hobby coach. You can earn as little or as much as you want. But understanding that if you are treating it like a hobby business, then you're going to be making a hobby income. If you're treating it like a 6-figure income, it's going to come. I promise it will come. Hi, handsome. We are opening the door. And so knowing your why helps you focus when you're stressed. It gives that priority. You may have to skip out on hanging out with people. And Amy went live today and talking about figuring out what your yeses are. And figuring out what you want is going to be huge, because if you want to say yes to going out with that friend, that's fine. But maybe you don't say yes to all of the invites, and picking and choosing your best yes. If you haven't read that book, it's a really good one. And knowing that it's okay to say no to things, because you might be saying yes to something really good, but you end up saying no to something even better because you don't have enough on your plate. And so figuring out what's your priority will really help you juggle all of those things. And another thing I would tell you for your time is don't scroll through social media. I get so many people who are like, oh, did you see my post? And I'm like, no, I didn't. Like, it wasn't on my list of who I was supposed to check today, so I didn't see it. And you can give yourself permission, like give yourself 10 or 15 minutes a day to scroll, but that can't be during your work time. Scrolling social media doesn't count as work time, okay? That needs to be focused, set time that you are working. The thing I would also suggest is do your invites first. because those are maybe they're not your frog, they're my frog. And if you haven't read Eat That Frog, it's another good one. It's saying that if you eat a frog in the morning, your day is just going to get better, because what can be worse than eating a frog? You know, you started out with the worst thing. So for me, it's invites. And so if I invite first, it's done. And now I have all this freedom and I can do everything else. And so making sure to do that first, get it out of the way, do those business building activities first. Checking in with those people that you already invited, you know, making sure that those links are getting sent, all of that. But making sure that if you only have 15 minutes, you do the things that are going to move your business along. Growing your Instagram, doing the followers, stuff like that. The other thing that's helped me is I do personal development in the car. And so I have a 25-minute drive one way to drop my kids off at school. And so I don't on the way there because they're in there and we're talking, but on the way back, the little guys, they don't really talk to me much anyways. So I listen to a book on the way back. And that has really helped save in time. So it's not I can sit down on the computer or sit down on my phone and work. But finding that time, maybe it's while you're cooking dinner or while you are folding laundry or something like that, multitasking, eating lunch. I did a lot of multitasking. On my 30-minute lunch at work, I no longer went and sat and talked to people. I would sit in my room and get messages sent out. And so I got 30 minutes without having to give up time at home. I already talked about that. All right. So I think that another thing that was super important was sharing my big, scary goals. A lot of times we don't want to say it out loud because what if I don't hit it? And for me, in August, before I quit my job, so I'd been a coach since January, so it'd been 8 months, I said I was quitting my job and I wasn't signing my next contract. And for me, that was really scary because I was only making a couple $100s a week. And I was saying that I was going to be quitting my job in January or February and not coming back after I had Zane. But I kept saying it and I kept acting as if, and I knew it was going to happen and believing that would happen. And you better believe in January, I was able to walk into my boss's office and quit my job. But that was because I was constantly saying it and telling people and holding me accountable, because when you know someone's holding you accountable, you're going to show up. Just like I started working out at 4:45 with one of my girls because she needed somebody to show up. And that's how our Miracle Morning started. I had been working out with her since April at 4:45 in the morning. I didn't personally need to get up at that time, but she needed it. And I knew that if I showed up, she would show up. And she had big, scary goals. So I was there to be there with her. And so having that person that you're sharing that goal with, even if your big, scary goal is to make $300 this month, you know what, that can be a big, scary goal for you because that covers something that you needed. And that's okay. All of our goals are going to be different. My big, scary goal that I'm working for is I want to be 5-star elite coach by December. And I've got a long ways to go. Me and my girls, we got to kick it into gear. But I'm believing that it's going to happen, and I'm going to support them, and we're going to get this goal. Oh, I just said that out loud. Oh, okay. And do the things every day. That means on Sundays, I don't work. I have my posts planned out, everything like that. But 6 days a week, I'm making sure to do the things. And you know the things that you need to get done. And making sure that when you're showing up. And when I say treat it like a business, ask yourself, would you hire yourself back? Like with your efforts that you put in today, would you hire yourself back? And some days it's going to be no. And you're going to say, okay, what do I need to do tomorrow to make sure this happens? Hey, no. Sorry. And so you need to make sure that you are asking yourself and reevaluating. And if your schedule doesn't go as planned, that's okay. You can make changes throughout the day. Obviously, a lot of us are moms on here and we have little ones and life doesn't always go as planned. I was supposed to have from 8 until 1 today by myself at the library and work all day. And then my dog got a foot infection and I had to go sit at the vet for an hour and a half. And that totally threw a wrench in things. But I went back to my mom's, put the boys down for a nap, and I sat there instead of taking time to drive somewhere. And did I get as much done as I wanted? No, but I'm going to, after they go to bed, reevaluate and probably work a little bit more to make sure I get that time in. And so it's okay to adjust your schedule, or for me, I track my work all week, and then my goal is 20 hours a week. And if I haven't hit it by Friday, you better believe I'm making it up on Saturday. And again, your goals and hours does not have to be the same as mine. I don't want you to ever feel like your goals have to be the same as anybody else's. We're all on this journey together. Another thing I want to say, and I don't need the time this. I'm going to wrap it up. Hey, you're okay. Is be in it for the long haul. A lot of us, we get frustrated in the first 3 or 4 months and we want to quit, or we get tired after month 6. And I want to tell you that every single year for the past 4 Augusts, I've wanted to quit this business. Every single August, not without fail. I want to quit. And it's because it's rough. And you really have to dig deep in these August and September months, because people are giving you 100 excuses, and we're trying to help them, and they have every reason in the book not to join. But being here to the long haul is super important. A lot of people will go to a 4-year university and they will spend hours and hours and hours and thousands of dollars learning what they can do in order to be the best, whatever they can be. And they're trying to improve themselves. And like when I was a teacher, I went to school for 4 years. Then I didn't expect to be a good teacher until I was at least, 2 or 3 years into it. And so I was willing to dedicate 7 years of my life and dollars to a career that didn't really pay me all that significantly. But after 6 months, I wanted to quit. I didn't know everything about Beachbody yet. I didn't know everything about social media, and I still don't. I'm still learning. And so treating this like you're getting your Beachbody degree, and treating it like learning all that you can, and knowing that it's going to take time to be good at this. It's going to take dedication, but it will come. And so I just want to encourage you, get your Beachbody degree. Be here for the long haul. Learn as much as you can, and know that if you are consistent over time, your business is going to grow. You are going to see the potential, see the growth that you want. You're going to see the income, and you just have to ask yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice right now to get what you want in the long time? Are you willing to sacrifice sleep, or that show, or going and hanging out on the weekend, or whatever? But just knowing, for me, I sacrificed a lot of sleep, because that was what I could do. So I was sleeping 5 hours a night, working as much as I could. But now I'm home full time, and it's completely worth it. I was working 40 or 50 hours a week and leaving my kids all the time. And now I'm working 20 hours a week and I'm with them all the time. So it was completely worth it. And I know that if I could do it with all of my kids and my husband gone 12 hours a day, you can too. And right now he literally leaves at 6:30 in the morning and he gets home at 6:30 at night, Monday through Thursday. And on Fridays, he gets home at midnight, and he's gone all day Saturday because of football. So you have to figure it out, guys. And everybody has a reason or an excuse. But we have such a gift in this business. We can give that family who needs an extra $100 a week an opportunity to do that without leaving their kids. We can help people figure out a way to pay off that debt, or to donate to different things. If your passion is foster care and you want to be able to donate to that, you can with this business. And maybe it's not replacing your income, that's fine. But there are so many people on this team that have lost 60, 70, 80 pounds, and their lives are completely different because one of you said yes. One of you showed up, and now their life is forever changed. And it's such a gift. If we start thinking of it as a gift and not thinking that it's a burden, or that we are asking people for this huge ask, know that you are providing a life-changing experience for people, even if it's the community. I didn't know I needed the community. I had been burned by so many people, and this community has opened me up to more friends and like connecting, and I've gotten to reconnect with people that I lost touch with, and those friendships that I needed and missed so much, I have them back. And so just like, don't give up and don't quit, guys. This is amazing. Sorry, I think I went over. It's only 5:34, not bad. Do any of you have questions? I do want to take a picture of you, so maybe we can smile. Yay, Amanda showed up. Are there any questions? Her waiting hands. Thank you so much for jumping on. I feel like this is an awkward hour for West Coast people, but I was trying to do it before dinner, but before bedtime for our East Coasters. So I hope you have an amazing day, and I'm excited to see how this business grows for all of you. But have a great night, friends. End meeting.